Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Every man out here thinks he's got it all figured out when it comes to women. He thinks he knows how to read her, how to keep her, how to control the game. But there's one move, one simple, powerful move that'll leave him missing you every single day. And that move is pulling back with confidence. When Steve Harvey talks about relationships, he often reminds people that mystery is one of the most powerful forces of attraction. See, when a woman carries an air of mystery, she automatically becomes unforgettable. A man is wired to explore, to figure things out, to chase what feels unknown. But when a woman gives away all of her attention, all of her time, and every thought too soon, she removes that sense of wonder. The one move that leaves him missing you every day starts with bringing mystery back into your presence. It's not about playing games. It's about knowing that your energy is precious. When you walk into a room and you're not trying to be seen, but your confidence speaks louder than your words, that's when he notices you differently. That's when his curiosity begins. Mystery doesn't mean silence. It means self-control. It means not explaining every feeling or every action. When you don't give him all the answers, he has a reason to think about you, to question what you're doing, to replay conversations in his mind. Men remember the woman who makes them wonder. They miss the woman who didn't give them everything at once. When you hold something back, when you leave a little space between what he knows and what he wants to know, that's when the missing begins. It's like reading a book that ends with a twist. He wants to know more, but he can't because you've closed the chapter with grace. A mysterious woman doesn't beg for attention because her power lies in her calmness. She knows that real connection can't be forced, and she doesn't chase validation. When she speaks, she chooses her words wisely. When she listens, she pays attention. She doesn't compete with noise. That quiet confidence makes a man replay her presence over and over again. He'll be out with his friends, laughing, pretending he's not thinking about her, but her mystery sits in the back of his mind like a whisper he can't forget. Steve Harvey would say that when a man can't predict you, he respects you more. Men lose interest when they feel like they've seen all there is to see. But when a woman surprises him, not with drama, but with depth, he starts to crave her energy. Mystery keeps his imagination alive. It keeps his emotions active. That's why he misses her every day, because he never feels like he fully figured her out. She's not a puzzle to solve. She's an experience to feel. So when you hold on to your mystery, you're not being cold. You're creating value. You're teaching him that your attention must be earned. You're showing him that your world is bigger than his validation. And that's exactly what makes him think of you constantly. He'll miss your calm, your charm, and the parts of you he never fully got to see. Because in mystery, there's magic. And that magic is what makes him wake up every day wondering how he can have you back in his life. Emotional distance is one of the most powerful moves a woman can make when she wants a man to miss her. It's not about being cold or shutting down. It's about creating space that allows him to feel your absence and recognize your worth. Steve Harvey often says that men need time and silence to process their emotions. When you're always available, always answering his calls, always showing up before he even reaches out, you remove that natural tension that keeps a man emotionally invested. But when you step back, not out of anger, but out of peace, you allow him to experience what life feels like without your presence. And that's when the missing begins. See, emotional distance doesn't come from playing games. It comes from understanding your value. When a woman starts to pour all her energy into a man who hasn't earned her effort, she loses balance. The more she gives, the less he feels the need to give back. But when she takes a step back, when she starts to invest that energy in herself again, he begins to notice the shift. He feels it in the silence, in the quiet hours, when she's not reaching out, in the way she doesn't respond instantly. It's in those small moments of distance that he begins to realize how much she mattered. A man might not say it out loud, but he feels it deeply when the energy changes. Steve Harvey would tell you that men fall in love in the gaps. They don't fall in love when you're constantly in front of them. They fall in love when they're missing you. When a woman creates emotional distance, she gives a man the opportunity to think, to reflect, to feel the consequences of taking her presence for granted. That silence becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, he sees what he lost. He remembers her laughter, her patience, her warmth, and he starts to crave that energy again. The truth is, emotional distance builds respect. When a woman stops explaining herself, stops overreacting, and stops begging for effort, she shifts the dynamic. A man suddenly realizes he's no longer in control. He starts to wonder why she's calm, why she's no longer fighting, why she's no longer there every time he reaches out. That curiosity turns into reflection, and reflection turns into longing. He misses her not just because she's gone, but because her silence speaks louder than any words she could ever say. Every man misses a woman who was once emotionally available, but learned when to retreat. Emotional distance isn't rejection, it's protection. It protects her peace, her dignity, and her self-respect. And while she's focusing on herself, he's somewhere trying to fill the space she left behind, realizing he can't. That's the beauty of it. When you master the art of emotional distance, you don't have to chase love. You let it chase you, because in that silence, he feels your absence more deeply than he ever felt your presence. Self-worth and independence are the heartbeat of a woman's power. Steve Harvey often says that when a woman knows her value, she becomes unforgettable. A man can meet hundreds of women, but the one who stands tall in her self-worth and doesn't rely on anyone to define her will always stand out in his memory. When you know who you are, you walk differently, you speak differently, and you love differently. You no longer settle for crumbs when you know you deserve the whole meal. And that right there is the move that leaves a man missing you every day because he realizes you don't need him, you chose him. See, independence isn't about rejecting love, it's about not losing yourself in it. A woman who's independent emotionally, mentally, and spiritually knows that her happiness doesn't depend on a man's attention. She builds her life with purpose, she invests in her dreams, and she creates joy for herself. When a man meets a woman like that, he's drawn to her because she brings peace, not pressure. She doesn't cling. She doesn't demand constant reassurance. She simply exists in her power. And when she steps away, he feels that loss like a cold wind. He realizes she added value to his life that no one else can replace. A woman who lives by her self-worth sets standards that teach a man how to treat her. She doesn't chase after someone who's inconsistent. She doesn't explain her worth to someone who refuses to see it. She simply walks away knowing that losing her is his lesson, not her loss. That's the kind of strength that lingers in a man's heart long after she's gone. He'll try to find that same energy somewhere else, but he won't, because true independence is rare. It's magnetic. It's that quiet confidence that whispers, "I'm good either way." And a man never forgets a woman who moves like that. When a woman is independent, her time becomes valuable. She doesn't waste it trying to prove her worth to someone who can't appreciate it. She spends it building herself. Maybe she's learning something new. Maybe she's focused on her goals. Maybe she's surrounded by people who pour positivity into her life. That's the glow a man can't forget. While he's out taking her presence for granted, she's out there evolving, and when he finally looks back, she's not where he left her. That realization hits him hard because now he sees the difference between a woman who needs him and a woman who needed herself more. Self-worth makes you unforgettable because it radiates through everything you do. Independence makes you powerful because it proves that you're whole all by yourself. Together, they create the kind of presence a man can't shake off. When he realizes that your life is still full, that you're still shining without him, that's when he starts missing you. Not just a little, but every single day. Consistency in standards is one of the most powerful qualities a woman can have, and Steve Harvey often emphasizes this truth. When a woman stands firm on what she believes she deserves, she separates herself from everyone else. A man may meet many beautiful women, but the one who doesn't bend her standards for temporary attention is the one who leaves a lasting mark. Having standards means you know what kind of love, respect, and effort you are worthy of, and you don't allow anyone to give you less than that. A woman with strong values doesn't have to beg a man to treat her right. Her energy demands it. And that consistency is what makes a man miss her when she's gone, because deep down, he knows he can't find that kind of strength just anywhere. See, the problem is that too many people change their expectations once feelings get involved. They start out confident, saying what they want and what they won't tolerate, but as soon as emotions take over, they start accepting less. But a woman who stays consistent, who doesn't allow her heart to silence her standards, sends a clear message. She respects herself too much to settle. That kind of woman doesn't chase validation. She commands respect. When a man meets her, he might test her limits, but the moment she doesn't break, he realizes she's not like the rest. That's when the missing begins, because he knows she meant every word she said. A man might not admit it, but deep down, he admires a woman who keeps her boundaries firm. It's attractive when she says no and stands by it, when she walks away instead of begging for change, when she chooses peace over chaos. That's the type of woman who leaves an impression that time can't erase. Because while other women might lower their standards just to keep his attention, she refuses to sacrifice her worth for anyone. Her consistency becomes her power. And when she's gone, he doesn't just miss her presence, he misses the version of himself that she brought out, the one that wanted to be better just to meet her expectations. Consistency in standards also builds emotional security. A man never has to guess what she'll tolerate or how she'll react, because she's the same person whether she's happy, hurt, or disappointed. That reliability makes her trustworthy. And when she decides she's done, when she finally removes her energy, it hits him harder because he knows she didn't leave on impulse. She left because he stopped meeting the standards she always had. There's no confusion, no drama, just clarity. That's what makes a woman unforgettable. Her standards are her armor. They protect her from being taken for granted and remind her that love should never come at the cost of self-respect. And when a man loses a woman like that, he doesn't just lose love, he loses discipline, guidance, and inspiration. That's why he misses her every single day, because her standards set the bar and no one else comes close. Silent confidence is one of the most magnetic traits a woman can have. Steve Harvey often says that confidence doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be real. A woman who walks with quiet assurance, who doesn't have to prove her worth through words or validation, instantly stands out. She doesn't seek approval and she doesn't chase attention. Her calm presence speaks volumes. When she walks into a room, people feel her energy before she even says a word. That kind of power makes a man stop and think, and when she's no longer around, that same calmness becomes the very thing he misses most. Silent confidence is about knowing who you are and being comfortable in your own skin. It's about understanding that you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. A woman like this doesn't argue for respect. She earns it without trying. She doesn't respond to every insult or defend herself to every critic. She lets her actions and her peace do the talking. That stillness, that control, that grace, it's unforgettable. When a man meets a woman like that, he feels both intrigued and challenged. He wonders what gives her that inner strength, that glow that doesn't fade even when things get tough. And when she's gone, he doesn't just miss her smile, he misses that peace she carried with her. Confidence that's silent is also deeply rooted in self-belief. It's the kind of confidence that says, I know I'm enough even when no one tells me. A woman who lives with that mindset doesn't depend on compliments or constant reassurance. She's content within herself, and that's rare. Most people are busy proving themselves, but She's busy being herself. That difference is what keeps her on a man's mind long after she's left. He'll replay the moments she didn't react, the times she smiled instead of argued, the way she kept her dignity no matter how emotional the situation became. That quiet power lingers. Steve Harvey often explains that men notice the way a woman handles pressure. When things go wrong, a woman with silent confidence doesn't fall apart. She stays steady. That steadiness earns respect and admiration. A man may not say it out loud, but he values that type of strength more than anything. Because when he's used to noise, drama, and constant validation, meeting a woman who radiates calm is like breathing fresh air. And when she's no longer around,